Both parties are devoted to neoliberalism and the ideology's strict adherence to free international trade, austerity, and highly privatized economies. This means that
Yes, Democrats, known for austerity measures, the party that spends so much and raises taxes. Yes, austerity measures from the Democrats. It's almost like maybe, just maybe, not everyone is a socialist. It's reductive. It's reductive to the point of misinformation.
Believe it or not, the Republicans are not the only major right-wing political party in America. Of course, there are smaller conservative groups like the Libertarian Party and the Constitution Party, but for all intents and purposes, and contrary to what you've probably heard your whole life, the Democratic Party might as well join them on that list. How else could we categorize a party that blocks movement to the left, passively accepts movement to the right, and sometimes even embraces conservatism outright? In this episode,
I love how lefties, like ultra lefties, especially tankies, say that Joe Biden is a right-winger, despite all of the things that he's done in terms of, like, you know, preserving our democracy when it comes to like getting voted in and not like backing down when Trump tried to steal the election. When you look at the fact that he cut childhood poverty in half with the fucking child tax credit, like the massive fucking infrastructure bill that he is, I think that they passed in the fucking Senate, that he originally wanted to be way more fucking far reaching. Like, oh shit, who would have fucking thought that Biden could have been so fucking based and left pilled? But no. He's still a right winger to these guys.
we're looking at how the Democratic Party takes advantage of the current electoral system to stop, to the best of its ability, the progress of left-wing politics and how it even actively promotes a right-wing agenda. We're talking about something called the ratchet effect. If you've been following this channel for a while, you've probably already heard me talk about the absurdly stunted American political landscape. If you're new here, the basic idea is this. American politics lean heavily to the right. On one side of the aisle, the Republican Party espouses alarmingly far-right politics, more extreme in their nature than even some notable far-right parties in European politics, like the National Rally in France and UKIP in the UK. Often left out of the story, though, is that the Democratic Party is also on the right. Perhaps not by US standards, but in the range of political ideologies, both parties are devoted to neoliberalism and the ideology's strict adherence to free international trade, austerity, and highly privatized economies. This means that
yes, Democrats, known for austerity measures, the party that spends so much when they and raises taxes. Yes, austerity measures from the Democrats. Fucking top tier fucking political analysis.
that at the end of the day, Democrats and Republicans disagree on relatively few things, and most of those things are minor aesthetic differences or the usual hot-button culture war topics. But stopping our analysis there ignores the special role Democrats play in the American political system. Democrats actively enable the Republican agenda. In politics, this is called the ratchet effect. The idea goes something like this. When Republicans hold power, the gears of the ratchet engage and the machine begins to move to the right, happily clicking along as policies pass, judges are replaced, and budgets are approved. Come the time when Democrats return to power, the ratchet is meant to move left, but the party acts as the pawl, immobilizing the gears, meaning the ratchet remains completely stuck until Republicans return to power and things go back to moving right again.
An absolutely unbelievable fucking analysis. It's almost like maybe, just maybe, not everyone is a socialist, and maybe, just maybe, there's something different between like a social democrat or like a liberal and a fucking conservative. It's almost like there might be like a difference, and the fact that we don't have a bunch of fucking socialists in this country, or like even that many, like in terms of like electorally, not that many fucking liberals that can get into office because of the fact or because of the way that our system is set up, right? Because it kind of prioritizes the rural vote and votes in like smaller states or like regionally rather than like by pure population numbers, right?
In the real world, this ratchet effect can be seen when Democrats do any, or frequently all, of three things. Passively accept movement towards the right, move to the right themselves, and block movement to the left. Let's start with that last one.
Move to the right themselves.
It's becoming obvious that properly leftist ideas are gaining...
I love how, like, move to the right themselves, like, trying to fight for people's, like, civil rights. That's, like, a pretty not right-wing move, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but when I see, so like, half of the House of Congress saying trans people are like mentally ill, like horrible fucking men in dresses, right? And the other half says, like, maybe we should allow them to have healthcare. I don't know if that's a rightward move or not, personally. Maybe I'm just a dumb fuck. But personally, I don't think that those two are the exact same positions. And I also don't see left-leaning politicians in this country walking back on increasing people's civil rights in this country, right? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the one with bad political analysis. But it seems like these are two fundamentally different positions, and we should be able to recognize that if we have half a fucking brain cell to our name.
Traction in the US. As I've mentioned in previous videos, more and more people are losing faith in capitalism and are looking elsewhere for options. Popularity in socialism is on the rise, and several policies Americans have typically considered left-wing, like universal healthcare, increased minimum wages, tuition-free college, and the federal legalization of marijuana are more popular than ever, with around 2/3 of Americans and the overwhelming...
What were those three positions?
Several policies Americans have typically considered left-wing, like universal healthcare, increased minimum wages, tuition-free college, and the federal legalization of marijuana are more popular than ever, with around 2/3 of Americans.
So the first three, sure, but when it comes to the legalization of marijuana, I don't think that that's an inherently left-wing. That's not inherently left-wing unless you just think that stoners are always going to be left-wing, which is not true. It's just more liberal in terms of like allowing people to do what the fuck they want, right? Which is not socialist, right? That's like a liberal idea, because when you look at socialist governments, those motherfuckers, socialist governments like China or like Soviet Russia, pretty socially conservative, pretty not in line with a lot of lefty thought. No, everybody come in here, everybody come in here, everybody come in here. Yeah, come over here, I'll give you some seeds. Not psych. Get cucked. Get cucked. That's fucking right.
And the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters supporting them. But these policies, and many, many others, never become law. Why? Because Democrats aren't responding to the growth in popularity of leftism. In fact, they're actively resisting it. They do this in several ways. During elections, it's as simple as Democratic elites clearing the path for their more centrist candidates, like Clinton and Biden, by handing them endorsements and the keys to their more powerful fundraising apparatus. The mainstream media also heavily favors these so-called moderates, offering effectively limitless free publicity and often outright slandering the more left-leaning candidates. But it doesn't stop there. Once in government, the party's attachment to centrism only grows. We see this when Biden abandons the fight for a $15 minimum wage.
He couldn't. How the fuck could he have gotten it? Literally every single time I've had a conversation with people about that $15 minimum wage thing, it's like, okay, how do you propose he would have actually gotten that through when he is not a senator and he does not decide what goes to the fucking Senate floor or not? How does Biden change that? Oh, apply pressure? Well, do you not think that he worked to try and like apply pressure there? Do you think that he didn't, that he just like realized because he has more experience in actual real life politics than you? He realized that it was a fucking lost cause and like there was nothing that he could do about it. No. He must be a fucking fascist. That is a much simpler explanation to these people.
Long before it starts, leading it to fail in the Senate. We see it in the infrastructure bill going from this to this. We see it in the complete silence.
Whose fault is that? The initial proposal is what Biden wanted, right? The initial proposal is what Biden wanted. And it got cut down because of centrist Democrats and the fact that we have a fucking evenly split fucking 50-50 Senate. Nothing more, nothing less. That is the reason why. Our country is too divided for us to get through large spending bills like that. Therefore, we have to elect more left-leaning individuals, Democrats, into office. Otherwise, we'll never see any of these things get passed into law.
Of high-ranking Democrats when Amazon workers and Alabama coal miners attempt to unionize or go on strike, leaving them alone and without the support they were promised by America's so-called most pro-union president you've ever seen.
He literally supported them and told them to vote for the union. With the Georgia Amazon union election, he literally told them to unionize and that it's their right to have protections. He can't mandate unionization. He's not able to do that. I don't understand.
Everywhere you look, the ratchet is frozen in place. They aren't fighting like hell for the little guy, they're getting in his way. Now, of course, when Republicans take control of government, the ratchet begins to move freely again. Policies get passed with purely performative resistance. Judges get appointed who uphold...
Oh, yes. Judges, or fucking policy gets passed with no fucking resistance whatsoever. I don't know. Do we see a massive fucking giant border wall along our southern border? I don't know. Did we see the complete repeal of the ACA? Absolutely fucking not. Like, how the fuck do you not recognize these things unless you are completely unplugged from the news? There was a 4-year fight, a literal 4-year fight, guys, that the Democrats put up and succeeded in putting up to block Trump's border wall. They literally put up a massive fight to keep the ACA from being repealed. How is this not? How is this not exactly what you've been asking for? For the Democrats to not get pushed to the fucking right. I don't know what other, like, genuinely, I don't know what other policy proposals you could possibly ask for. Who? Literally who? Literally who are you? Who are you, bro? Hey, bro, who are you? Yeah. Oh, you fucking thought, dude. Holy shit. What a fucking loser. Holy shit, dude.
Right-wing policies for decades, and the country continues trending towards the right. When Democrats return to office, concentration camps along the southern border become immigration overflow facilities and remain open. Immigrants are told, do not come. The U.S.
Literally, no. Concentration camps, the concentration camps where they were keeping kids separated from their parents are no longer in function, where it's just like a child prison. Now, there were a bunch of children that crossed the border after Biden was elected, or just before he was elected, or just before he assumed office, right? Why was that? Well, generally because Democrats tend to be easier on immigration than Republicans. And so people probably feel a little bit more emboldened to cross the border. But because of Trump's plan, where he separated children from their parents to the point where people felt like, oh yeah, I'm like, or to the point where people like literally never saw their children again. And we had to pay out billions of dollars to people in damages because their children were taken from them, never to be seen again. Yeah, those things, that policy ended. Now, children just cross the border by themselves because of the policies of the Republicans, where they made these people feel like they were never going to see their kids again. So they just sent the kids so that their kids could have a better life, rather than the fucking like adults going over with their kids, thus losing their fucking children and being put into separate fucking concentration camps that they fucking fought over whether or not they were going to give the children soap and toothpaste. I think there's a little bit of a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans in that regard.
Embassy remains in Jerusalem despite an ongoing genocide, and military budgets continue to rise. Nothing quite illustrates the ratchet effect better than the U.S. corporate tax rate over time. These are the taxes that corporations have to pay, the same way you and I do when we earn our income. Back in 2017, Trump cut taxes.
Corporate taxes are kind of fucking cringe.
For both the rich.
Okay, corporate taxes are kind of fucking cringe. Only because there's probably better ways to raise revenue and increase our productivity without the corporate taxes. You can tax the billionaires way easier off of their income than you can, or like capital gains, rather than off of corporate taxes, because that just makes it to where people's wages are less likely to be paid out, and they're less likely to be able to, or they have less of an ability to invest in their company.
Richest Americans and corporations, while giving effectively nothing.
Yes, unironically, corporate taxes are cringe from like a purely like empirical standpoint. Yeah, corporate taxes are cringe only because there's better ways to collect taxes, not because we should lower taxes across the board. We should probably raise taxes across the board, but lower the corporate tax rate and increase taxes on other things.
thing to the rest of us but the promise of an eventual fictional trickle-down. With this cut, Trump brought the corporate tax rate from an already low 35% down to a paltry 20%, shifting the tax...
I'm so sorry. Sondsol, the only people that differentiate between the Republicans and the Democrats are Americans. The rest of the world sees no material difference. So fucking cringe. I disagree wholeheartedly. I have family that lives in Belgium that looks at the Republican Party like they're fucking ghouls and the Democratic Party as like relatively reasonable, all right? People do not see these things as like exactly the fucking same. And anybody that says otherwise is just fucking cope posting.
Burden even further onto the shoulders of average Americans and away from his party's corporate donors and himself. Thankfully, Biden is bringing it back up to 25%, 28% if we're lucky, 7 to 10 points lower than where it started. Here, the trend becomes clear. Year after year, Republicans push further and further for imperialist foreign policy, for xenophobic immigration restrictions, for rich Americans to hoard more and more wealth. Democrats come to appease the masses, promising they'll be different from the previous administrations, returning power to the people, but always less than they had before and never getting in the way of this greater rightward trend. This isn't to say Democrats never pass progressive legislation. They sometimes do, but it remains an exceptionally rare event, especially in comparison to the number of conservative policies that pass, and it's always less than what they promised, less than what they could theoretically achieve, and nowhere close to what would be considered progressive in other developed countries.
Theoretically.
Now, these are all situations where Democrats appear ineffective, where they try but fail to deliver on the demands of their constituents. But they can be far more harmful. Every time they gain power, Democrats adopt some new right-wing policy, pushing the left further outside the realm of acceptable politics, and allowing the right to claim even more outrageous amounts of ideological territory as it adopts, according to some, the trappings of a fascist state. We've seen this for decades. In the late 60s and 70s, it was law and order. A seemingly innocuous phrase coined by Nixon became realized in full force by Reagan's disastrous war on drugs. Law and order became one of the rallying cries of a political program that threw the black community, black men in particular, in jail with long sentences for so-called broken window crimes. Minor crimes heavily punished so that the state could showcase its power. Politicians drummed up fear of black and minority criminals while simultaneously terrorizing non-white communities with an over-militarized police force. In the 90s, Democrats latched onto this Republican program with their own narratives. You may have heard the term super predator. This super predator, a young criminal with no remorse, became the myth that glued the Democratic tough on crime program together. The Clinton administration in particular led its own wave of over-policing with the infamous crime.
The fucking crime bill in the 90s is one of those things that is so fucking massively misunderstood. Okay, really quick. Has anybody ever watched a movie from like the late 80s or like the 70s, 80s, early 90s? Like an action film or like, you know, anything like that? A dystopia film set in America? That was reflective of public attitudes around crime because crime was so fucking bad from the late 70s through to the fucking early 90s that it was unlivable in large cities like fucking like New York City, fucking DC. What else was like a huge hotbed? LA. These places were so fucking destroyed with crime that people couldn't live. They didn't feel safe walking down the street to the fucking grocery store. They couldn't do anything because they were going to get fucking mugged. It's reflected in our media at the time that people were so fucked up about crime. They just felt like, oh, well, it's better to just like think of Escape from New York, where it's better to just completely close off Manhattan and turn it into a completely fucking like closed in ultra prison where they just throw all the criminals because that's all that they can fucking do because Manhattan was too far gone with crime. Crime was so fucking bad. Everybody wanted a solution, not just Republicans who wanted to hurt black people, but also black people who were living in these communities fucking destroyed by crime. And it's only these white fucking like socialists that grew up in middle-class families in the middle of fucking suburbia who didn't have to live in fucking high crime areas that feel this way, that it was just to target black people. That's the only people that feel this way. Them and people have no fucking clue as to the fucking context that bill was drafted under. Also, when people dunk on Biden for drafting part of the crime bill, they forget, they completely neglect to mention that he drafted the Violence Against Women Act or something along those lines, where it was to make sure that women didn't get fucking beat up and raped by their fucking boyfriends all the time. But I guess defending women against rape isn't a good enough cause for these people. That's not a good enough reason to draft a bill. You should just like fucking let them sort it out themselves, I guess. I don't know. Like it's actually fucking mind-blowing to me that people haven't looked into this far enough to understand that there's a little bit of nuance, just a slight bit, just a fucking crumb of nuance that might need to be taken into consideration here.
Remorse became the myth that glued the Democratic tough on crime program together. The Clinton administration in particular led its own wave of over-policing with the infamous crime bill, which included what was called 3 strikes lifetime sentencing, put more police on the streets, increased the scope of the death penalty, and
Also, I'm pretty sure that 3-strike policies are at the state level, not at the federal level, but I might just be incorrect. Violence Against Women Act. Thank you.
of course, put more people in jail than ever before. These are not the policies of a left-wing government. Generally speaking, Democrats are quick to jump on the police state bandwagon. We've seen it when the Biden administration tries to increase police funding and deploy it against Black Lives Matter protesters. We've seen it with the passage of the Patriot Act by a Democratic-led Senate back in 2001. Over time, Democrats tack more and more right-wing politics onto their agenda, until the Democrats of today begin looking a lot like yesterday's Republicans. There are 2 main reasons the Democrats act this way.
Yes. Expanding the welfare state, increasing spending on fucking infrastructure. This is exactly what the Republican Party of yesteryear, the fiscally responsible Republican Party of yesteryear, the corporatocracy that fucking slashed all social spending and like reneged everything from the fucking New Deal from FDR. Yes, exactly the fucking same.
Way. First, they rely heavily on large corporate interests. Weapons manufacturers, the pharmaceutical industry, and fossil fuel companies are some of the most influential sources of funding for both political parties, and so will necessarily drag the Democrats further to the right than their constituents and the American people in general want them to go. Just look at the Biden administration's stance on oil drilling. Second, the US works on a mostly majoritarian model of democracy. In these types of democracies, 2 parties naturally rise to power and
Looking into it, it looks like the crime wave was created by increased laws against drugs, not natural increase in crime. God, fucking 2 pixels. 1986, murder rate was 10 per 100,000 people. That's pretty high, especially when you look at, like, if you were to look at violent crime in New York. Let's look at New York. Murders in New York City by year, 2,500 in 1990. This was a unprecedented amount of fucking crime from the 70s to the early 90s. The war on drugs started. I'm looking up violent crime. I'm looking up violent crime. I'm not looking up drug offenses. I'm looking up violent crime. Violent crime? The kind of crime that's violent and isn't a victimless crime. It's violent, where people are victimized. I know I'm right on this because I've looked into it. Don't at me.
completely dominate the political arena. Whoever has the most votes, that is, electoral college votes, leads the country, naturally creating the incentive to vote for only those parties who stand a chance of winning. In the US, the Democrats and Republicans. This does a few things. 1, it stops third parties from gaining any significant traction. After all, why vote for the party you like better if they have no chance of winning? 2, it stops the 2 big parties from having to actually be accountable to their core voters, who have no choice but to vote for them so long as they remain preferable to the other option, which they always will. There will always be a, quote, lesser evil.
There are different parties within the parties. We have the Congressional Black Caucus. We have the Congressional Progressive Caucus. All right. There's the America First Caucus. There are different parties within these parties. The parties are not monoliths, right? There's a difference between a fucking Mitt Romney type Republican and a fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene Republican, right? And if you can't recognize that difference, then that's on you, not on the rest of America, and not on the American political system. You can say that the two-party system is a problem and that we should have third parties, right? And I'm fine with that, right? But you have to make the caveat that these parties are not a monolith, and if you vote for more or less progressive people, you can push the parties in different directions.
And 3, the 2 parties must now compete over the same centrist voters to have any chance of winning, forcing them closer ideologically. Since both parties are already dragged towards the right by their wealthy donors fearful of the unruly masses, the center creeps ever so steadily towards the right. And with it goes the entirety of American politics. Every election year, the Democrats elected to the highest levels of power get there by feeding us the same lines. They say, "We alone provide an alternative to the past X years of disaster and the objectionable Republican figurehead. We alone are the barrier that prevents the free reign of regressive, conservative politics. Surely you wouldn't vote for the fascist." And yet, in the very same breath, they assure us that they need
They
to
don't
work across
talk
the
like
aisle,
that.
our democracy hinges on their need to move towards the center and capture the mythical swing voters who decide the election. According to them, this is the only reasonable approach. This is what it means to be electable. All the while, American politics moves steadily further right. There is some hope, though. Within the Democratic Party, progressive figures are gaining traction and getting elected. The policies that are considered too far left by corporate Democrats, like Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, are actually the policies that are kicking them out of office and earning their more progressive counterparts a spot at the table. That being said, progressive politicians regularly find themselves defanged by their corporate counterparts. Over time, they are assimilated
Because there's not enough of them. So vote in more of them. If you vote in more of them, there's no excuse for them to not pass any bills. If you vote in more of them, they won't have any barriers. They won't have any barriers towards passing the legislation that you want. So you have to vote progressive people into office rather than fucking non-progressive people. How is this not like an intuitive fucking answer? How does that not make sense?
into the centrist fold with every concession to the party's elite. So, while electoral politics do provide some short-term gains, most notably starting the radicalization process of many apathetic Americans, actual change will only come from popular grassroots movements. If you're looking for ways to get involved, see if any groups near you are looking for help. Joining your local chapter of a national group like the DSA, or any of the several left-wing political parties, or your city's mutual aid collective can have a bigger impact than you think. The main takeaway is this: the United States is run by a two-party corporate duopoly. Both the Republicans and the Democrats are beholden to the same corporate interests, and both parties are dedicated to the maintenance of the untenable and increasingly dystopian.
I really like that when you look at the different kinds of donors that support either Democrats or Republicans, oftentimes when you look at a Democrat, the kinds of institutions that fund them, that give them money, not all the time or not exclusively, right? But oftentimes you're going to see like educational institutions. So like colleges or advocacy groups that want to increase spending on education. You're going to see things like Planned Parenthood or other like similar type charities or institutions. You're going to see things like that. When you look at Republicans, they have way more oil and banking donors than Democrats do. You can see this like really hardcore when you look at like Bernie Sanders or AOC type politicians, right? Like it's pretty easy to just go look up their who their donors are.
Neoliberal status quo. Both our major parties are right-wing. This trend will
Makes
only
them pee?
continue to get
Okay.
worse until the left, the real left, can mount an effective opposition to this deeply flawed and inhumane political project. If we want to make real, positive, lasting change, if we want to safeguard future generations against climate fallout, if we want to stop the inevitable transformation of neoliberalism into outright fascism, we have our work cut out for us. So let's get to work. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this kind of content is made.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll up really quick. Let me see what I just want to show you guys really quick. Very funny, very easy, easy peasy, fun thing to do is when you look at their second channels and see what they're doing with the money that they get from Patreon.
Excuse us, don't mind us, just coming through.
Just coming through in a $160,000 car that's more expensive than most houses are.
It's wild.
Oh, look. The most popular one is them driving around in a Toyota Corolla. It's an appliance. So fucking disconnected from your average working man, aren't we? Second thought. Holy shit.
This car is like Toyota was trying to make pickles, and they didn't realize you're supposed to use vinegar, and they just put a bunch of cucumbers in water and let it sit for a few days, and they ended up with wet cucumbers. That's this car. This car is just wet cucumbers.
Unbelievable.
Yep, we had to do it.
You had to meme this
I know.
stupid car.
Why is nobody talking about this? Well, don't you know that a socialist can be as much of a capitalist as they want because the system isn't a socialist system yet, and they don't actually have to, they don't actually have to try and fund any left-leaning politicians. They don't have to invest into communities. They don't have to try and live their values at all, they can sit here and shit talk, you know, the Toyota Corolla, you know, an everyman car because they're more used to driving in McLarens and shit.